So 7.6b is in boy, continuing on with our quadratic inequalities, example 1. And let's get that written down. X squared minus 2x minus 8 is less than or equal to 0. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to begin by factoring. All right, so when we factor, we get x, let me get my pen working, x minus 4 and x plus 2. So what we know is that we're going to, whatever value we put in here for x, we also have to put in here for x. So in the subtract 4 here, add 2 here to whatever value x is. When we multiply them, we need to get a number that's either equal to 0 or less than 0. So we need to get a negative number when we multiply these two. When you multiply two numbers together, the only way to get a negative number is if one of them's positive, one of them's negative. The other thing that we're trying to do is find out what numbers we can put in here that is going to make it equal to 0 because of the less than or equal to sign. But we're going to focus on having a positive and a negative number, for a positive for one of these and a negative for one of these, so that when we multiply a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive, we get a negative answer. All right, so that being the case, once we have it factored this way, we draw our number line. I always like to put a 0. Then we find out what number makes this 0. 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we're going to put a 4 here. And then what number makes this 0? A negative 2 plus 2. So we're going to go to negative 2. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my handy-dandy little dotted line here. So I've got 3 different areas here. I've got this area, and this area. So I'm going to see what happens. I don't care what the answer is. All I care is the answer going to be positive or negative? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, first of all, at the x minus 4. So if I start here at 4, so 4 makes this 0, so that's where I'll start. What number, if I go to the right here and pick, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pick a 6. Okay, I could have picked 5, 8, 9, doesn't really matter. Just a number bigger than 4. And I put that 6 in here. 6 minus 4 is positive 2. Okay, I don't care that it's a 2. I just care that it's positive. So that tells me that all the numbers to the right of 4 are going to give me a positive number. Now let's look this way. So I'm going to put a 0 in. What's 0 minus 4? Negative 4. So everything to the left is going to give me a negative number. Okay, now I'm going to look at this third area here, and I'm going to throw in a number. Let's put in negative 6. So negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. So that tells me in this area, it's also negative. Okay, so all my answers are positive. Whatever number I pick for x and then subtract 4, I'm going to get a positive. When I'm over here, they're all going to be negative. Okay, so let's look at x plus 2. And again, I'm going to start at the value that makes this 0, which is negative 2. So let's look at the left. If I took negative 6 again, and again, it doesn't matter what number you pick, but let's pick negative 6. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So all the numbers in this area here are going to be negative. Let's look at the numbers in this section here. So let's use 0 again. 0 plus 2 is a positive. So all the numbers within here are going to be positive. Okay, now let's look over here. Let's pick 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. That's a positive. So we continue to have positive numbers over here. All right. So if you remember, when we were looking up here, we were trying to find one of these has to be a positive, one of these has to be a negative. Okay, here I have a negative and a negative, a positive and a negative, and a positive and a positive. So this is the section I'm interested in because I needed a positive and a negative. So that means that all the numbers in here are going to make this problem right here a true statement because a positive times a negative gives me a number less than or equal to 0. Okay, so for my answer there, it should look like this. -2, you pick that, is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. So there's my answer. Now see how quick and easy that was? I took one red line, the left-hand side, and put that number there. I took the right-hand side and put it there, put an X in the middle, and because this says less than or equal to, I do a less than or equal to here and a less than or equal to here. If this was just a less than sign, this would just be a less than sign, and this would be as well. So hopefully you can look at that and be like, okay, this isn't too terribly scary, but if it is, let's go to example 2 and continue on. So I've got 6x squared minus x is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, first of all, we need to get it in standard form. We need to get all the numbers and variables on the same side and set it equal to 0. So it's going to look like that. When you factor it, I'm not going to teach you how to factor. You should already know how to do that. I'm just going to give you the answer. Okay, so now I need to find out what is going to make this 0. What x value is going to be equal to 0. So that would be 3x equals 2, divide by 3, divide by 3. So x is equal to 2/3 for this one. 2x plus 1 equals 0. What number can I put in there for x? It's going to give me 0. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, divide by 2. That's going to be -1/2. So those are the two numbers that we're going to put on our number line. So let's put 0 there. And I've got -1/2. And positive 2/3. And it really doesn't matter if you graph them correctly. We just need to have them on the right side, the correct side of the 0. Okay, that's really all I care about. Okay, so let's look at 3x minus 2. Okay, we've got 3 different areas to look at. And we just have to figure out where the numbers are positive, where they're negative. All right, so let's try 0 first. 3 times 0 is 0, minus 2 is a -2. So that means that my 3x minus 2 is going to be negative in there. So let's do that in blue. So these numbers in here are all going to give me a negative when I plug them in for x, multiply by 3, and subtract 2. Okay, let's pick a number over here. Let's see, what can I pick here? Let's just grab 3, or -3, I should say. So let's put a -3 here. And let's see what happens when we put a -3 in here. -3 times 3 is -9, minus 2 is -11. All right, so all the numbers in this section are also negative. Okay, let's look at these numbers. Doesn't matter, again, which numbers you pick. It's just got to be bigger than 2/3, which is less than 1. Let's use 2. Okay, so 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. That's a positive number. So all the numbers over here are positive. All right, let's do the 2x plus 1. And that is from this part right here. So we'll start at this line right here because the negative 1/2 here because that's what we've got here. So let's go to the left of negative 1/2. Doesn't really matter, I guess, where you start here, but we'll pick a number to the left of negative 1/2. Let's pick the negative 3 again. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, plus 1 is negative 5. So the numbers in there are going to be negative. Okay, let's pick something in here. Let's pick 0. 0 times 2 is 0, plus 1 is positive. So we get positive numbers in here. And let's pick some numbers over here. Let's use 2 here because we've already used it. 4 plus 1 is 5. That's also positive. Okay, so we've got our little graph thingy there. And one of the things we have to do now is which of these groups are we looking for? Well, we're multiplying whatever this is times whatever this is, and we're getting a number bigger than or equal to 0. Any two numbers multiplied together to give me a positive number are going to be either both of these have to be positive, I mean this has to be positive and this has to be positive, or they both have to be negative. This one negative and this one. It can't be a positive and a negative. Both positives, both negatives. So that's what we're going to look at in our handy dandy little graph that we drew here. And we come to find out that these numbers here, everything this way, are going to be negative times a negative will give us a positive, and then everything this way, because a positive times a positive is a positive. So what our graph is going to end up looking like, what our solution is going to end up looking like, is a number line with a 0, with a negative 1/2, and a positive 2/3. And we're going to have a closed circle here showing that it includes 2/3. And that's because of the greater than or equal to sign, means we're going to include that. So greater than, so this way. And the other numbers that are going to make this work are all the numbers smaller than 1/2. So a closed circle, because it also can equal 1/2 because of this greater than or equal to sign. So notice that these numbers are less. These are low numbers, but that we don't care about that. We just care about what's going to make this a true statement. So all numbers less than or equal to a negative 1/2, greater than or equal to 2/3 will make this a true statement. So that is the graph. If we wanted to do it in interval notation, or we wanted to do this in the inequality notation, it would end up looking like this. Let me move this over. X is going to be less than or equal to negative 1/2, or X is going to be greater than or equal to 2/3. Okay, so this is actually the answer you're going to want to come up with. X is less than or equal to the negative 1/2, because see, our red line shows me all the numbers that work for that. X is greater than or equal to 2/3, all the numbers to the right into infinity. So this is going to be the answer that you want to come up with. All right, so let's jump to example number 3, and we'll do that in the next video.